she's portrayed kind of like a self-absorbed, man hungry. She's still mourning her husband, but she's the slut of the group. She's the fun one. It's her house that they all are living in. And
Right.
I think and what's interesting is that both Betty White and Rue McClanahan had worked together previously, right before the Golden Girls on Mama's Family, before it entered for syndication when it was originally airing. I think it was on NBC. They'd been in that show together, which was a spinoff of a Carol Burnett sketch.
And
So
here's the thing about that. So Betty White had portrayed sort of, forgive us for using this term, a man-hungry character,
yes,
Sue Ann Nivens
Sue Ellen,
on
yeah,
the
on Mary Tyler Moore, yeah,
Mary Tyler Moore show, and McClanahan was her character's name was Vivian Harmon in Maude, and she
right,
was sort of scatterbrained. So in a way,
exactly,
they were inverse characters. Basically, McClanahan had already played scatterbrained. Betty White had already played promiscuous. So they didn't want to do the same roles when they were offered to them. They wanted to switch, and the producers allowed them to switch, and that's why they signed on. As you mentioned, they had both been on Mama's Family, which I think had been canceled the season before. Let's do Blanche first, because she's named after Blanche Dubois from A
yeah,
Streetcar Named Desire. The idea of a cad, a promiscuous character, is more of a male role. Like you even, again, to bring in Cheers, a contemporary show, like you have Sam Malone is a cad, John Larroquette in Night Court. But like, going back to Mae West and things like that, this is not an unusual role, or it's not groundbreaking in the sense that no one had ever done it. But it's interesting that if this is a show that is the whole thing that makes it interesting, not the whole thing, but is that this is the sexuality of people that, of a segment of the population that doesn't explore their sexuality very much.
right, or that we don't
What
talk
do you,
about, right? It's not represented,
right,
right?
right.
Like we've never, at least to my knowledge, like up until this show, you didn't think about it. They've been written off, especially women, right? Like men could get away with things much longer, but like women, you're like, okay, well, once you've turned a certain age, we don't even pretend to acknowledge that you even have sexuality anymore.
And I mean, to a certain degree, all four of the women, I guess, Stell Getty's, Sophia to a lesser degree, but they're all single, which is also something that if you think about like sitcom stuff, it's to a certain degree a lot of family and nuclear family sort of stuff. So the idea that you're doing a show, number one, about four single folk, and then number two, that it is people beyond AARP age. We'll get into that again, as I say. But and then that they are open about their sex lives and their romantic lives is what's sort of groundbreaking here.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think the fact that like from the very beginning, they kind of don't hide around it. And what I always liked about the Blanche character, that character was always my favorite, even as a little kid. And I didn't always understand why, until I was older, was that she was part of the joke too, right? Which is also, I think, interesting because it's not as if you hadn't had promiscuous female characters before. Of course you had, but very rarely did you have them, especially, at the age that Rue McClanahan is portraying, for that character to be kind of unapologetic about it and to kind of be in on the joke
Right.
as well, right?
It's not only unapologetic, it's also it doesn't occur to her to be like, this is who I am, and actually I love it.